Why do movies always use artificially synthesized dinosaur sounds, like the roar of a T-Rex? Sounds like that have an intimidating quality. They make dinosaurs seem powerful. But was it really like that? Scientists reconstructed Spinosaurus's call as closely as possible to the real thing. This is not the sound of any creature you know. First of all, it doesn't come through the air. It starts resonating directly inside your skull. A kind of extremely low-frequency infrasound makes your eyeballs feel pressure, and a sore ache rises from the roots of your teeth. That is your body mistakenly interpreting it as a massive creature rapidly approaching. When this sound appears, deep inside your brain, that ancestor you shared with the dinosaurs, sleeping for hundreds of millions of years, suddenly awakens. Your sympathetic nervous system is forcibly taken over. The tiny muscles beneath your skin that make your hair stand up contract uncontrollably. Not because you are afraid, but because your genes recognize this sound as a fear that was dominated by dinosaurs for a very long time. Hello everyone, I'm the Science Lens creator. Starting from the last video, I will be introducing from 800 to 2,000 kinds of dinosaurs, and I'll also explain many strange and unusual prehistoric creatures. If I am fortunate enough to earn your follow and become a creator with 1 million followers, that will be something we witness together. And today, we are about to witness a brand new form of Spinosaurus, the unusual Spinosaurus. To talk about Spinosaurus as a species, it is actually very mysterious, because over the past few decades, too many things have happened with it. Every development came with a reversal, and people have kept arguing over what kind of creature Spinosaurus really was. At first, Spinosaurus's first fossil itself was incomplete, and then it was burned to ashes in the artillery fire of World War II. What happened because of that was that Spinosaurus became an extremely mysterious giant predator. Then new discoveries appeared, and people speculated that Spinosaurus was an extremely powerful aquatic predator. Then, because of a tail vertebra, people speculated that it could swim very fast in the water. All of this was wrapped in layers of mystery. However, on February 19th, 2026, a completely new body form of Spinosaurus was formally announced to the world in the journal Science. On top of its head was a crest 40 centimeters long, looking very much like a curved blade. What kind of groundbreaking research will this new Spinosaurus bring? First, let's start with the most eye-catching feature of all, this crest. Scientists speculate that if the individual were fully mature, this crest might reach 60 centimeters. That is because the current holotype is a subadult individual. In other words, it was a Spinosaurus that had not yet reached adulthood. If it were an adult individual, we would be looking at an even more imposing skull. So the question is, why did it grow such a long crest? Was it for fighting? Obviously not, because no traces of combat were found on the fossil specimen that was discovered. But when scientists examined this crest with a high-resolution microscope, they observed that it was covered in numerous blood vessels. And because it was made of nasal bones, that indicates that in life, it would have been covered with a keratin sheath, possibly very brightly colored. Based on this discovery, scientists speculate that it may have been used as a display ornament in life. In other words, during mating season, whichever one had the brighter colored crest would have more mates. Another even more important discovery is that these crests did not grow straight upward, but had a certain degree of curvature. That means the crests of all unusual Spinosaurus individuals grew randomly and were not symmetrical. Scientists compared this with living animals, such as crowned cranes, which also have similar head crests. Crowned cranes use their crests to communicate or declare territory in dense rainforests. This kind of use is usually called visual display. Simply put, it is for other members of the same species to see. But here's the interesting part. The crane's crest is not symmetrical either. It also grows in a curved way. This suggests that using modern animals to explain it is probably the right approach. According to a paper published in 2022, if Spinosaurus really was an expert swimmer, then this crest probably would not work at all. Because underwater, it would make direction control extremely difficult. Water flow would strongly interfere with its heading and force it to use more power to control its head, making it hard to strike prey accurately. Earlier, scientists also believed that its huge sail was used to assist it in the water. But in 2024, research on Spinosaurus's sail argued that the sail may not have been what people previously thought. They had massive bodies and lungs. If that was the case, Spinosaurus would not have been able to dive at all. It would have floated on the water's surface like a half-full bottle of mineral water. And the bones of Spinosaurus's back were simply too large, reaching 2 meters high. At high swimming speeds, those spinal bones would have been extremely prone to fracture. They could not possibly withstand the pressure and impact brought by water flow. With even a slight deviation, they would break. This conclusion also triggered doubts among many scientists. They questioned whether Spinosaurus really was not an animal adapted for swimming in the water. Its sail was more likely used for visual display, similar to the function of the head crest. As for the idea that it had an underwater propeller, opinions are all over the place. There is no unified conclusion at all. When the tail vertebra was first discovered, it was in 2014, from the same region as most Spinosaurus fossils. When scientists put the Spinosaurus fossil through a CT scanner, the reconstructed image showed that Spinosaurus may have used this tail to accelerate in the water, then violently boost its speed, allowing it to reach the burst speed needed to catch prey in an instant. But that's almost impossible. Because based on the earlier research, people later began to seriously doubt that function as well. Spinosaurus's tail structure is actually extremely similar to its sail structure. It simply could not provide a swimming speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Scientists began to think that the tail and the sail worked as a matched set, and were likewise used to decorate itself. In other words, they only had a display function. If you still insist that Spinosaurus was a swimming champion, then another strong piece of evidence from scientists may change your mind. Unusual Spinosaurus fossils were found inland, and these places were completely far from the sea. In fact, the place where the fossils were found had no major rivers or broad bodies of water at all, which is enough to prove that Spinosaurus most likely could not swim. It was more likely a specialist that stood on riverbanks catching fish. Why? Because its teeth were very large. There is one little detail I need you to pay attention to. Although its teeth were large and looked terrifying, they had tiny serrations. It was the same with the Egyptian Spinosaurus. Only a fish-eating animal would evolve like this, so it could hold on to the slippery skin of fish. Once it bit down, there was basically no chance for the fish to slip away. Besides the head crest, there is another point. The thigh of the unusual Spinosaurus was different from the thigh of the Egyptian Spinosaurus. The unusual Spinosaurus's thigh was comparatively more slender and longer. So overall, Spinosaurus as a species was more inclined toward a semi-aquatic but land-based lifestyle. But the reason for Spinosaurus's extinction remains, to this day, a mystery buried beneath yellow sand. The mainstream view in the scientific community is that it may have been caused by volcanic eruptions that blotted out the sky and changed the global climate. Or, what do you think caused the entire Spinosaurus lineage to head toward extinction?